What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I'm your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, 31 Days of Horror Volume 8, Day 25, coming at you live and direct. All right, so we are going to take a trip to the foreign land of Canada. Yes. From a film from 2001. Now, I've seen this movie before, but I've never seen this cut of the film. I actually originally wasn't even going to buy this Blu-ray because I wasn't really too sure on it and stuff like that. But I was really curious on such a longer cut of this film. So from TerrorVision, a film from 2001 called Slashers, directed by Maurice Devereaux, who also, of course, did End of the Line, which I believe came out in 2006 or 7 or something like that, which is a fantastic movie in itself. But I actually do own the DVD of this, so I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to upgrade. But when I found out that TerrorVision was releasing the original cut of the movie is 99 minutes, and that's like the director's cut. And this version is 120 minutes, so it's like 21 minutes longer. And they call it like the, I think it's like the festival cut or whatever. And it dubs it as, what is it called? Reality TV Gone Extreme Cut. So that had me curious. I was like, well, it's got to be a lot more gory. It's got to have something more to it, kind of thing, right? So Slashers from 2001. Basically, the premise of this movie is it's a reality show called Slashers. They broadcast this live on the air, and basically what it is, it has 6 contestants, and their goal is to basically survive for 24 hours, going through this maze and battling off these slasher characters played by, I guess the cover doesn't really have all three of them, but yeah, by these 3 slasher characters right here, hunting them down. It's essentially like the Running Man, right? You got to go through this huge maze, battle off all these big bosses kind of thing. So you've got Chainsaw Charlie over here. Looks pretty cool. We've got the Preacher Man and Dr. Ripper. So 6 contestants, 3 slashers, 24 hours to live, and of course, or to make it through, if you make it through the 24 hours, you win the big prize. In this specific occasion, apparently the week before, no one survived, so the purse was actually doubled in this one. But yeah, so anyways, that's like the premise of your film. So my thoughts on this one. Now, this movie, I've always been a little bit indifferent on because it has one of the similar problems going for it that I always talk about with found footage films. Now, don't get me wrong, I love found footage films, but the problem is with found footage films is when the acting isn't strong or believable, it makes the found footage film come off as being quite bad. Because in found footage, it's supposed to be natural. Like, you're not supposed to be acting, you're filming real things and stuff like that, and it's supposed to be natural. Well, that's kind of what happens here. Like, Slashers is based in reality, right? It's being broadcast live on TV, and these aren't characters, these aren't actors. They're supposed to be playing themselves. But the problem is with the acting in the film is it comes off being so unnatural, and it's just, it takes you out of it so much. Right from the start of this film, man, we have one of our lead characters, her name is Megan, and she is there for a reason. It's disclosed very early that she's on the show for a reason, not for the money, but to take a stance against humanity and, and the uprising of, all this other stuff. She makes a huge speech in the film. But her acting comes off as being so poorly done that it really kind of takes you out of it. In fact, all of our contestants in the film, the acting is not believable at all. It just, it's like, it's reality TV. Just act more natural and stuff. It's one thing that just takes me right out of it. Now, all the guys that play the slashers, I think, do a really good job. That's where all the good acting is. But we follow, our contestants for the most part in this film, and it's just so shaky. It takes you right out of the movie and stuff like that. But so we're talking about the 120 minute cut, which is essentially 2 hours. It's not essentially, it actually is 2 hours. I can't quite remember what the difference is between this version and the 99-minute cut, but I can tell you one thing. I'm pretty sure there's no extra gore. I think there's just a lot more dialogue. There's just a lot more buildup and stuff like that in this one, which kind of hurts the film. I think there's no reason to have a 120-minute version of this film. considering I used to think that the 99-minute version was a little bit too long in itself, so nothing more to report on there. You know, as for the film itself, man, I think the aesthetic is pretty cool, man. It's basically just these contestants going through assortment of mazes and, you know, like hallways and you know, all these different types of scenarios and things like that. You know, it looked pretty good on the DVD, to be honest, because a lot more grimy. But now that you're watching it on like a really nice 2K scan and stuff, it comes off as looking pretty cheap, even though the transfer is fantastic. It's just the sets, which I don't really have a problem with. I mean, if you have a game show, it's low budget, whatever. I mean, we used to watch game shows from the 80s, and those sets look terrible, man. They look like $5 sets. I mean, fuck. I mean, tons of those shows, man, were like that. So I don't really have a problem with that. It's not really a big deal. The slashers themselves, I think the costumes on them look really good. In fact, like I said, they're the best part about the movie. The Chainsaw Charlie, the Preacher. Unfortunately, we don't get to see a lot of him in the movie, but I think he was one of the coolest, probably the coolest looking one. It's kind of a shame that they disposed of him as early as they did, but you know, I mean, this one right from the start just gets on your nerves. I mean, like going back to the acting again with Megan, like they're introducing the characters on the slasher TV show. And you can tell, like, she's overacting even when she's not saying anything. It's just like, what the fuck is going on, man? And then it's just like, it's so ridiculous. Like, she's like supposed to be like 20 years old and she's trying to make this big stance, but she's in this thing and she's not trying to win for the money. And it's just like, it's just such bullshit, man. It's like, oh, come on, man. But, you know, I guess the one good point about this movie is actually the kills. The kills are pretty good. There's a really cool chainsaw kill by Chainsaw Charlie in the film. It doesn't look overly believable because he cuts someone right in half and stuff. It's quite clearly a dummy. But the gore is pretty good. The blood looks good. The gore is pretty good. There's a bunch of kills. Obviously, there's potential to have, you know, 6 contestants, 3 slashers, like 9 kills in this film. So the body count's decent in the film, but the problem is it takes like a whole hour for someone to finally get killed in this movie. It's crazy. So I feel like the 120-minute running time is a little too much for this, considering the acting is weak, the dialogue's not overly great. You know, the problem is with the characters themselves, not just because the acting isn't that strong, is that they're so uninteresting. When you're watching a game show, you know, the human nature in you when you're watching sports and stuff, you want to cheer for somebody. You want to cheer for somebody to win. In this case, you don't want anyone to win. Like, it's crazy. I'm watching this going, I don't even fucking care if any of these contestants win because they all suck. Like, some of them are really obnoxious. Some of them are know-it-alls. Some of them are just totally uninteresting. It's ridiculous. Like, it's another kind of flaw to this film is like, you're literally watching a game show. You want someone to win. So you don't have likable characters, man. Like, you're on the other side of the fence. You're going, I don't give a fuck. And in fact, I really wanted one of the slashers to win. And in fact, one of the slashers I wanted to win got taken out the earliest. And I was like, come on. But yeah, you know, 120 minutes, way too long. The 99-minute cut I found was a little bit too long. There's a twist in this in the film, which I will admit when I first watched this film, I did not see coming at all. I thought it was kind of cool, but it's, you know, it's kind of corny in itself a little bit, especially the guy that plays the dude who's involved in the twist. Like, he's a piece of shit, man. Like, he sucks. And, you know, there's a kind of cool moment what one of the characters does to him and stuff, but I don't know. All in all, man, this one is pretty average for myself. I've never really, like going back to the fact that I wasn't really going to upgrade this film because I'm not really the biggest fan of it. And now I remember why. I will say, like, it looks beautiful. There's some good gore and stuff like that, but I don't think there's enough here to really keep anyone invested for 2 hours, let alone 99 minutes, let alone 2 hours. So, but, you know, one interesting thing, man, there's a lot of features on this. I didn't watch any of them, but I was surprised to see so many interviews with the guys that played, like, the slashers in here. There's Chainsaw Charlie, and I think the guy that plays Dr. Ripper does an interview, a bunch of other interviews and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you know, not Maurice Devereaux's best film, nor my favorite. End of the Line is just so much, just elements better than this. It really is. But yeah, if I had to rate this one, I'm giving it 5 out of 10. I'm honestly not a big fan. I think it's got a good premise. I really like the premise. Actually, in fact, The Running Man is my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger film. I've always loved that movie, so I love that game show type premise with killers and running from it, and you know, the cat and mouse type shit and stuff like that. But this one just doesn't really work for me. I think one of the most interesting aspects of the film in itself is that it's live on TV, right? So they try to film this without edits. But you can clearly tell as a fan of film where the edits are, because they'll go into a room and the lights will darken, so it's obviously where they do an edit, right? And sometimes the lights will flicker and stuff like that for no reason. That's obviously where they're doing edits. But again, it's live on TV, so it's shot and it's, you know, it's moving camera and stuff, and it's supposed to be unedited, which I really like that approach to it. It's pretty cool. I think they do a pretty good job with, you know, I mean, for the average viewer, you just like, oh wow, that seemed very seamless, but there is definitely edits in there and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, slashers. I mean, I recommend it because I'm not the biggest fan of it doesn't mean you might not get more out of it. But yeah, pretty average for me, man. Slashers. Nothing else to say about it. You know, the music is what it is. Actually, one thing that bugs me about this movie that I remember thinking to myself the first time I watched it too. Okay, so again, this is shot live on TV. So when they go to commercial break, they have to stop what they're doing. So if you're in the midst of killing somebody, the producers will tell you to stop, and you have to stop until they give you the go ahead to actually continue after the commercial break. So they use that time to like kind of further, you know, there's a bunch more dialogues and kind of further, you know, the plot a little bit and stuff. But I really truly think that they should have actually went to commercials. Because there's fake kind of commercials and trailers at the end of this film that they show, like the cigarettes and all these kind of goofy things. So like that would have been cool to see fake trailers in those commercial breaks instead of the mincy and shitty fucking dialogue that they're doing for like long periods. Like these commercial breaks supposed to be 2 minutes long. I feel like some of them go on for like 5-6 minutes because it's so extended. But I think that would have been a really cool idea to actually go to commercials and then come back and like, oh, and then you're fighting and doing your shit, right? For the most part. I mean, there is one scene where I think it's actually they needed to have the dialogues that were happening, but all in all, man, slashers, you know, check it out at your own risk if you've never seen it. If you have seen it before, let me know your thoughts down below. I know there's lots of fans of this film. You know, I'm not going to sit there and champion and give fake reviews just because I'm a Canadian who loves Canadian films and stuff, but if it's not my cup of tea, it's not my cup of tea, man. It's not Black Christmas. So, but anyways, guys, this has gone on way too long. That's going to do it for day 25. We'll be back tomorrow on day 26, and I'm really excited for tomorrow's review because it's a film I've been wanting to watch for so long. I finally got picked up a copy a few months back, whatever, maybe last year, whatever. And I said to myself, I'm like, I'm going to do this next 31 days because it just sounded so intriguing and it just looks bizarre. So, but yeah. Anyways, that's going to conclude day 25, guys. Check you guys tomorrow on day 26.